Alright, welcome back to another video. My name is Drew and I run this Vincent Design Co. YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about how to make a cool spooky Halloween lettering composition in Procreate. But I like to put things on paper first before I put it in Procreate, and I like to point out a couple of things before I put it in Procreate so I know what to change. I think for the most part this scary gooey type ghoulish looking is pretty cool, so I'm gonna leave that the same. But up here I tried two different things, quite a bit of space between these letters. I thought maybe, do I want to have space in between these? Too much of a space, and then I thought here, maybe I'll connect it and I'll see if I like that a little bit better. And I do like this a little bit better. But it's just always important to notice the flaws, the things that might be wrong, where the strokes aren't quite consistent before we throw it in Procreate, so that way we know what to fix and what to do. So now that we have kind of that figured out, we'll go ahead and drop it in Procreate and we'll talk about how to organize that layout. Alright, so now I have basically just taken a picture and I put it in Procreate. Go to my layers panel. I'm gonna make a new layer, and then I'm gonna select the layer that I inserted, which is the picture, and then I'm gonna drop that basically down. You've probably seen this a million times before because everybody does this. And then what I would do is start to go in here, do the initial trace. But before I do that, what I thought might be more helpful for you, instead of just kind of watching me draw this whole thing, I thought maybe we would talk about how to get this kind of ghoulish looking scary font, because that's probably more of what you're probably watching this video for. That's pretty terrible. But I did draw it myself, and then I basically started adding these little drops like this, and I started doing it here. It was cool because you can do some that are small, you can do some that are thick, and then you can have little pieces that are falling off. But if that's too difficult for you, that's totally fine as practice. What we can do is we can just add text. It's gonna pretty much give you a sans serif font every time, and so what we can do is we can just pull up the keyboard, backspace this, and for example we'll just do a capital S, then we'll select it, then we'll make it nice and big. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll just hide this layer for right now. We'll make this nice and big, and this is just can be our example for the moment. We'll add a new layer above that. We'll take this opacity, drop that sucker down, and then what you can do is you can go in. I really like my good friend Georgy's pencil. I'll link that below if anybody's interested. I just like it a lot better. And start with this as our basis, and then kind of create that ghoulish letter around it. And you could do something, you could do some short, and you could just, like right here, there's not really a reason to do any drippage here because it's kind of like the bottom part of the letter. So we'll just do little squigglies here, but then here, maybe there can be some that drop down kind of like slime. And then here we can start getting more like this, maybe a big one, come back and do a couple drips like this. So we'll just do different little squigglies to make it, ghoul-like. But here we can start going ahead, we can do something like this, falling off, maybe some farther ones, some bigger ones like that. And then what we can do, of course, is drag this over, fill it in, and we'll just hide our letter S behind. And that's pretty cool. We missed a little bit right there, but that's pretty good. I mean, I didn't really pay that much of attention to it, and you'd have to go in here and kind of fill in your you have to fill in your pieces that didn't quite make it black. You could do it like that, and that's pretty good. And so if we carried on like that, you'd have this kind of cool spooky shag. This is kind of more like hairy, scraggly looking scary font, and so that could be cool too. So what I'll probably do first is go ahead and outline all of this, make sure they're all nice and connected, and then I'll line them up a little bit more straight, and then I'll start filling in the composition with scary spooky stuff like jack-o'-lanterns and bats and things like that. So for right now, we'll go ahead and just fill it out. I'm starting with just obviously tracing out the letters, and you can really easily move them around and put them together. You don't have to feel like you have to get every single stroke perfect, which is the kind of nice thing about Procreate, is you can pretty much cheat a little bit. You can see I'm just kind of going over this pretty quick. I'm not spending too terribly much time on this because if my perfectionism kicks in, it'll take me forever. But here you can see I dropped down the size of the pencil to kind of get those really intense squigglies a little bit closer to how I did it on the paper. And then what I'm doing here that I found was a little bit easier is just going ahead and doing full trace outlines and not doing the squiggles yet, so that way I can drop the color in there and make it full black. Then I'm going back over it and putting all of the squigglies and the droops and the grossness kind of hanging off. And it's really easy to do that. It's really fun. You can get super wild with it and it'll still retain that cool look, or you can get minimal with it, however you want. I really like the A, how the bottom, just all of the bottom is completely dripping off, and then that R that kind of looks sort of like a blade, I guess is kind of what I was going for. And then with the Y, you have the left and the right sides completely dripping off there. Then it's easy to just grab your text, and I made it completely straight. It was like totally angled wrong on the paper because I was messing around, but I'm drawing a couple guides to just make sure they're relatively straight. You could use the guides that are already in Procreate, but I just draw a couple to make sure they're generally in line. Then we're going to do some sizing here, making sure the S and the Y are like somewhat consistent on the left and right as like a little border. Then I completely botched this. It's just absolutely terrible. I used nothing. But here you can see I'm just cheating a little bit. I'm taking each one, moving them up, resizing them, draw 2 little lines on the side. Super easy to do. Okay, now I mentioned that it would kind of would be cool to like put this on top of a background, and so what we can do is maybe go to Unsplash Spider Web. Boop. That's pretty cool, man. Look at that. That's awesome. Now, obviously, we're black on black on black, so that's not gonna super work. So what we'll do is we'll alpha lock this scary layer, and then we'll start playing with a couple different like spooky colors. So let's just say orange is one we want to do for Halloween. We'll fill that layer. That's kind of cool. So let's keep it simple. Let's alpha lock all of these, which you can also do by just swiping on 2 fingers. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is already looking pretty cool. It's pretty wicked. The orange I don't think is quite vibrant enough. I think we need a little bit more of a Halloween-ish orange, maybe like that. Yeah, so let's try that again. Fill. Yeah, that's much more of an Halloween orange. I think we can maybe add a couple more elements like some bats and some jack-o'-lanterns or something like that. All right, so here is pretty good, okay, finished product here. It's definitely looks like it was sketched, handwritten sort of vibe here. I just added some elements after we added that spiderweb background. There was a couple elements I didn't use. You can see over here on the right, like I've got some bats I didn't use because they just looked like they were cluttering too much. I also have a hat that was in here somewhere that I just thought was a little bit too I don't know, I couldn't really place it anywhere. I was thinking about maybe putting it on something like on top of the A, or like on top of something up here. Like that could be kind of cool if you worked and tweaked with it a little bit more. If you want to know where I got these elements, they're perfect for the Halloween season. You can go over to heritagetype.com. It's all linked down below, and this is actually from the Halloween edition of the Skull Creator, but it's perfect for Halloween. It's got all these different skulls and vampires and these skeleton hands and stuff like this, so it can really improve your composition, your layout, especially around the Halloween time like this, where this could be something for like a little front of it on the back. It's an invite card or something like that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope, if anything, this kind of helped you get that scary, gooey looking text done. If you're really into skeletons, I have some really cool prints that you can get from my website. I will link that all down below as well. But I've kept you too long, and I'm terrible at outros, so I will see you in the next video.